It's another episode of Spencer Uncensored. This is episode number 87. 87, right? Am I right? Let me look at my computer. Hold on. I'm almost positive. I should actually start writing these things down and I do have notes for tonight, by the way. There we go. Yeah, episode 87. We're going to be talking about an interesting little topic because I think with everything that I do, getting people into momentum and then creating some mastery around it, I think sometimes people think that we're always supposed to be stirred up, driven, and there is no level of peace. There's no peace. That's not true. That's not true. Tonight we're going to be talking about how, what is that, how do we know we have contentment, what's good enough, and without losing the drive towards your goals. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight, and I am excited about that. So before I get into all that, quick commercial, which, by the way, good to see you, Allende. Good to see you in the crowd, buddy. So let me make sure I got my notes on here where you guys, when you guys comment, I see it. In the past, I haven't, so let me do this. I'm going to do it on my screen over here just to see if I make sure I don't lose anything, okay? But I'm glad you're here tonight. We're going to have some fun. But let me do my quick commercial break because, I don't have any sponsors. I don't have anybody paying me to do this. So I figured, hey, might as well throw this out. There's my comments. I see you, Dan. Good to have you in the house, buddy. So New Jersey and California's in the house so far. Anyway, so tonight, before we get into this conversation of, how do we balance out the conversation of what's good enough and what's enough versus having drive and being insatiable, right? How do we balance those two things out? We're going to talk about that tonight. First, though, the book is out. It got printed last week. It actually is available on Amazon. So if you want to go to Amazon and order the book there, I'm not telling you that's where you should go. I'm just telling you that that's where it's at right now. If you go to Amazon, you can actually search Momentum and Mastery. You'll see the book there. However, I will tell you, you will have a much better deal if you go to momentumandmastery.com, order it from me there, and then I'll send you not only the actual book, but I'll send you a digital copy as well, and then there'll be some other goodies that come along with that. So, and the other thing too is that I am not you're not really paying for the book, you're just paying for the shipping and the handling and everything. Literally, it's less than $10. Yeah. So momentumandmastery.com, go grab yourself a copy of the book, start looking through it. You're going to learn a tremendous amount. In that book, I have so much content that every podcast I've been on so far, and I've been on quite a few now. I was on one today. The guy's name is Michael Neef, and he has a software as a service company now for mortgage companies, right? But he used to be in the mortgage business. He still does some loans from time to time, but it's not that's not his primary thing. But the name of the podcast is Conversations with a Recovering Loan Officer. And I thought it was funny because there's so many stories that we could have. I actually think it'd be funny if we all got together sometime. Those that have been in real estate, like real estate agents, loan officers. What else? Attorneys and title people, right? If they all got in together and did a blog and just started sharing their stories, the random stories, man, I could go for hours. Just some of the funny things that happened, right? But anyway, simple ones too, like the one time that I had an air conditioning unit stolen the day before closing, and so we had to get that figured out. I was on the seller side. Things like that, right? Hot water heater gets stolen. You're like, what? What? Why? What is going on right now? People losing their mind because a latch wouldn't work on the gate. It was literally, never mind. I'm not going to go there. But anyway, these little stories that we could all tell, I'm sure maybe you guys could drop some in the comments as we get along. But the podcast was fun. And he literally said, I don't think I've ever had as much content dropped in such a short period of time on this podcast. Well, that's the power of what's in Momentum and Mastery. The book is loaded down with a lot of tactical, practical things you can do, and it's designed to get you to think. I spent probably an hour with a friend of mine not very long ago, like last week. Actually, it was on Labor Day. we got together, and he had written all these notes, and he was talking and thinking all this stuff through. And I said, and I didn't see it as hey, I think you should do it this way. I saw it as, here's somebody that the content got him to think. Anything you've ever done that's of value, that really changed your life, was first started in a change of thought pattern. Because when you start beginning to change your thinking, you begin to change your emotions. And when you change your emotions, you begin to change your behaviors. That's how it works. We don't do what we think, we do what we feel. But if we want to change how we feel, we need to change our focus. And our focus comes from what we talk about, what the words we use. Anyway, I didn't mean to get off on all that, but that's the point of the book, is to get you to think and to do different. Because you are looking for that competitive edge to create higher profits. It says it on the book. Higher level of profits, higher level of productivity, and most importantly, higher levels of purpose. If you don't have any purpose in what you're doing, you can kiss the rest of it goodbye. So anyway, that's done. The book is out. Podcasting, by the way, you're hearing this and you know someone that does podcasts, would love to have someone come in and pour into their audience. I would love to be connected to them. Please pass my name along. And that's also for any kind of live events too. We're on a thing where that's concerned right now. That's what we're looking for. That's our primary thing. One last announcement. 20 ways. Let me make sure I get this right. Hold on. Because I have been working on this for the last 2 days. 20 ways to increase your effectiveness. If that is something you're interested in, make sure that you're part of my email campaigning. If not, just message me and say, hey, Spencer, I want to make sure I'm in your Keeping in Touch campaign. That's what we call it, KIT, Keeping in Touch. It's our Unshakeable email platform. And what we'll do is I'm going to send you a link and let you know how to go download a free PDF. It's 20 ways to increase your effectiveness. Maybe as you start going into the rest of this year and you begin to think about next year, which is what I'm doing with a lot of real estate agents right now, we're lining up things for themselves for the next year because they're in a 90-day sales cycle, right? So anything they do today, they really won't see any money until 90 days from now. We have to work on their goals now. Well, if you're looking to get better and you want to do more and have more, then all you got to do is go through these 20 ways to increase your effectiveness. To answer your question, Dan, we're gonna probably have it live in the next day or two. I'd say by the end of the week for sure. I'm going through all 20 of them and recording a short video, so I've got to get that squared away for each one because we're going to have an accompanying course that goes along with it. But anyway, I'll keep an eye on your email. It'll be this week. I'll be getting it out to you at the latest early part of next week. So I'm excited about that. I wanted to do something very practical because, as you guys know, I say it all the time, rhetoric over results, right? I mean, results over rhetoric, right? We're not into rhetoric. Qualified champions focus on results, not the rhetoric. So I could get up here and talk about you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people love you. Man, get out of here with that. Tell me how, Spencer. That's what we're doing. I want to make sure that you get that from us. So let's tackle this little conversation around, I'm just calling it contentment and having drive. The conversation came up, and it's come up multiple times, even for me in my own life. When is enough enough? Well, I don't know that you should never lose your drive. I think drive should always be there. That's what I do. It's taking people from drift to drive. But first of all, let's not villainize the concept of the drift. The drift is not necessarily a terrible place to be in. If anything, we're really just looking to go from one drift to a higher level drift. Because, you might want to write this one down. Your drift is very likely someone else's dream. Your drift is very likely someone else's dream. At the event, the Unshakable Weekend event, I actually talk about one of the very first topics we hit. We talk about drift and how it equals your reality. Really, all we're talking about is this is my status quo. This is the way. This is my life. These are the results I'm getting. And the only reason you would come to a program like this, or you pick up a book like Momentum and Mastery, or you go to an Unshakable weekend event and invest in yourself that way, is because you're looking to break free from whatever status quo, whatever drift you're in, and go to a higher level. But see, there's a lull in there, because you don't just snap your fingers and everything gets to the higher level. Sometimes it is that way, by the way. Sometimes it's just a simple decision you make, and within a day or two, you're in a whole other space, okay? Because maybe it's a relationship situation, or it's a health conversation, right? And you just need to stop or start something else. For the most part, though, when you're wanting to go from one level to the next, there's going to be a lull in there, which means you have to maintain the drive to get to the next level. At the same time, if you're always chasing and living in the future, you're never going to be able to appreciate or enjoy anything you're in right now. So there's a simultaneous activity that's going on all the time, right? See, contentment is really a state you can only create when you know the destination, and you're certain of the destination, and you know a sense of time frame, and you know that you have certainty about there's an end to this current situation. If you're not happy with where you are, that's okay, right? When other people are saying maybe you should quit this now, maybe this is not the right time for you, maybe you should do something else, right? Do I just cut bait and move on? Or do I maintain the consistency or contentment with where I am, with what I'm doing, and getting me closer to where I want to be? See, moving forward we talked about chess and checkers, right? The chess game is that driven long-range goal, what's pulling me closer to it, what's getting me to a higher level. But I'm going to have a much better chance at getting there knowing that I'm going to get there and settling in with where I am right now. There's a few things you can do to help build this muscle. One of them is the most classic of statements, and you probably are going to hear it and know it. You're going to be like, oh, well, yeah. And it's one of those things we just kind of dismiss, or we do, but we do it very haphazardly. And that's gratitude, right? We'll look at gratitude. I know I'm supposed to be thankful, right? Now, I incorporate it into a prayer life. So I'll say, Lord, I am so grateful for this. I'm so grateful for that. Thank you, Lord, for that. And it's a position or a humility that you bring in your prayer life. But you need to have some kind of centering that's constantly focused on what you do have. And that, my friend, is the power of gratitude. See, everybody tells you to be grateful because it's magical. But the reason it's magical is because it forces your brain to focus on the things you do have. The health that you have, right? The financial amounts that you may have, the stability that you do have. Maybe it's not what you want, but it focuses on the things you do have. That's the power of gratitude. Because when you're in this state of gratitude and your brain is having to focus on the things that you do have, not you don't have, which automatically will put you in a position of certainty and a position of strength. Because I'm going to use what I have to be driven enough to go get the next level. I'm not chasing the next level. I'm attracting it into my life. I'm moving in that direction by removing any kind of resistance. I'm trusting this is kind of lining up in your mind a little bit. And I get it, it's a little tricky. It's not like I've got this mastered either. Sometimes I'm so friggin' like, I gotta go. Let's go. I'm impatient. And then other times you gotta realize, listen, you had a good day. Did you hit your numbers? If you didn't, you don't need to be content with that. Right? If you're hitting what we call in the mastery, in the qualified champions framework, right? The second building block is priorities. If you're hitting your standards and you're focused on that, then you could be content with that. You may not have all the results, but you could be content with your activity. I've done the calls I needed to do today. I've finished this program. I've done this thing. I've got this squared away. I feel good about that because I know that that's going to eventually lead me to where I want to be. I don't want anyone to hear the momentum message from us, right? Momentum and mastery. You hear the momentum conversation, go from drift to drive. I don't want you to hear that message and assume that I'm essentially telling you you must always be in a disturbed state and just energy flowing from you like that. You can have a lot of energy on the inside and not show it on the outside. At the same time, you can also make sure you understand, first, maybe look back. Look at how far you've come this year. Take a moment, second to gratitude, take a moment and look at what have you done? What progress have you made? What progress have you made, right? See, Alicia's in the house. South Carolina's in the house. Woo, woo. Right? We got New Jersey, California, South Carolina, Florida. Hey, let's make it a party. Now, I get it, right? By the way, I'm super proud of Alicia. She has, on the side, started doing a little hustle, making a little money. Makes me want to go up there and like put on pom-poms and like, rah, rah, rah. It's a good example, right? Somebody, because I was asked earlier today by a loan officer, they said, well, how do you deal with this with somebody like who has one job, but really they're not operating in their talents and they want to do more? How do you, what do you do with that? How do you do that? Well, you got to have a plan. And you can't just necessarily just cut bait on the first job, let go. You could, but you have to make sure you're doing the right thing along the way. We broke that down a little bit better than I'm going to do here. But guys, you must remain driven for the things that you're moving toward, and you must find some level of peace about the progress you are making now. And really, if you think about this long enough, the key to all of it is going to be changing your focus from achievement to progress. Because the more progress-oriented you are versus achievement-oriented you are, the more you will be able to feel much more centered about the progress you're making, the constant and never-ending movements you're making. That's how you get where you want to be. So, with all that being said, it's been another episode of Spencer Uncensored. This is episode 87. There's 86 others. Oh, and I forgot to mention, by the way, we moved our blog. We now have SpencerUncensored.com. We moved the blog over there. So, thank you, Allende. As a former preacher, I love it when people say amen. It's a good feeling, right? But anyway, I moved Spencer Uncensored, the blog. I took it from SpencerCombs.com and moved it to its own platform. So I literally painstakingly moved over 100 individual, articles, moved them over there. If you didn't know, a lot of these actually show up there about a week later or so. If any of you need me, please feel free to reach out. And if you're not on my daily text, it's a free thing. It's free. You'll have a daily dose of momentum and mastery come straight to your phone. All you got to do is go to SpencerCombs.com/text. TEXT. SpencerCombs.com/text. And I will send you daily, Monday through Friday at least, a daily dose of momentum and mastery. So, go get the book. If you need anything from me, you know how to find me. Tell your friends. Share it around. We need to get the message out. It will not be ignored. We're going to keep driving with this thing. So have a good night. Keep well. Keep moving forward.